guys. Mike, your host of Craft Beer Storm. Today we have a brewer coming on from a brewery in Massachusetts, Bentwater, from Lynn, Massachusetts. We have Adam, Denny Golab. He's the head brewer there, which is awesome. We had a great conversation. I hope you guys are surviving the coronavirus pandemic. And, I asked Adam about how their brewery is doing, and a lot of good ideas, good strategy. But it's a great conversation, and let's go. Hey, we're here with Adam Denny Golab, and he's the head brewer of Bentwater in Lynn, Massachusetts. How you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? I'm
okay, yeah. And the topic of the day is the coronavirus. It's affected a lot of businesses, especially breweries. And brewers are trying to figure out, how to get around this, because a lot of the, revenue generated in a lot of breweries is through the taproom, and people are not allowed to go in. And I see that you're doing some clever things like curbside pickup and things of that nature. But tell us how you guys are coping with that right now.
Yeah, so Bentwater is in a little bit better position than a lot of other breweries, I feel like, just because our taproom sales are just a small portion of our overall revenue.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the other portion of that is we are a distribution brewery. Restaurants and bars are way down. So basically, we're relying mostly on our package store sales, and it's down, but it's not terrible. We're still making some decent money off of the package store sales, and then actually, we've actually seen an increase in our taproom revenues just from the curbside pickup.
Okay,
we're doing pre-ordering, so you pre-order, roll up to the thing, you can call the taproom, and they'll come out and bring it to your car, or you can walk in.
That's great.
A little walk-in space, you can come in and pick it up. But
wow,
yeah, it's definitely a challenge. It's a challenging time.
Yeah, but that's good. You're working around it. Now, do you have a distributor, or do you self-distribute, or how does it work?
So we do self-distribute.
Okay.
Basically, Framingham to the coast, and then we have 2 distributors in Western Massachusetts and a distributor in Southern New Hampshire. So,
okay, great. So you're so how far are you going? Are you in the area? You say you're going out to, you're just in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, or are you going?
Yeah. So right now it's just Massachusetts and New Hampshire. We have 2 distributors for, basically they split the western half of the state, north and south, Quality Liquors and Giardi. Mm-hmm. And then for Southern New Hampshire we have Bayside. And that's a relatively new territory for us. We opened that up at the end of last year.
Okay.
But, it's been good because I think that, we were self-distributing just in our small, basically Boston centralized area. And we just opened up all that territory at the end of last year. So it's good because, that's new revenue for us. It's new sources of revenue, and it's exposing a bunch of new people who don't necessarily know our brand. So, we have that novel aspect to our beer being those markets. So I think that, it was good timing, if there's anything, good about this situation that we're in, but it was good timing for us to be opening up those territories.
Yeah, well, that's great. Whatever revenue you could bring in, and I saw your system. You have a 30-barrel system, right? It's a pretty big system. You got to make a lot of beer. You got to get a lot of beer out. And I think distribution has to be a part of that, which is what you guys are doing.
For sure, yeah. We actually just commissioned that brew house, the 30-barrel brew house, last July. We had had a 15-barrel brew house before that, and we actually 2019 was a pretty busy year. We were in the middle of an expansion. We added about I want to say 15,000 barrels of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So we built a new building in our parking lot. Last year was a crazy year, so we had the capacity to grow. And we were ready for, a stellar 2020 with the new territories. And just, our goal was to hit 10,000 barrels this year. But we might hit a little lower than that with a slow start to the year like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that this thing came out of the blue. But I guess you're taking steps to kind of, work around it. I think, hopefully we'll be out of this shortly. You know, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think by the summer we got to be snapping out of this thing. You know, I know the president wanted us to get back to work like next week, but there's the powers that be that you know, stop that. But I think Sweden didn't even shut down. Like Sweden's just, you know, business is normal. We'll just do like a social distancing, but everything's normal. So I don't know. And Denmark, I think, is coming back online as well. But these are smaller countries.
Yeah.
But we have to see what happens with the with this whole coronavirus thing. But
yeah, it's definitely a difficult time, and you know, we're kind of planning, assuming we'll be back relatively normal, maybe by July. Just, you know, I think it's better to be a little more conservative with, you know, our business planning side of things, just, you know, because if it gets better faster, great. If it, you know, it's better to be prepared.
No, you want to be prepared, and a lot of people weren't prepared, I guess, for this whole thing. But you know, I think you guys are taking the good steps at you know, kind of just dealing with it and then moving forward, which is awesome, which is good to hear. So what's your background? How did you end up? I know you're the head brewer there. How'd you end up at Bentwater?
So I actually was originally working in accounting. I saw on your bio.
I'm a CPA, right? I'm a CPA. Yeah. It's just us accountants. I don't know. We decided to open breweries. I had a brewery. I opened it up on my own, right? So it's just attractive, right, to get into the I mean, you want to follow your passion, you know?
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Accounting is great to make some money, but I mean, to sit there and do spreadsheets all the time, it's like, you know, shoot me.
Well, with the current situation, that's mostly what I'm doing at home. So
yeah. So,
but yeah, so after college, I was working for an insurance company in their accounting department, working on my master's, planning to take the CPA exams. But I had been homebrewing, you know, since probably my sophomore year of college. You know, 21 years old. My parents got me a homebrew kit, and you know, it was just something fun to do, and I was really enjoying it. But you know, at the time, this was probably like the late 2000, like 2008, 2009. That was right when the recession hit, so it wasn't exactly the best time to be going out trying to be a brewer.
yeah, you've been through that one too, right? Yeah.
So I went and got my job, you know, working in an account department, doing my master's, that whole thing. Just got burnt out after, you know, 5 years or so. My girlfriend at the time, who was a paralegal, was getting burnt out about her job too. So, you know, we both wanted to make some career changes. She wanted to work in museums. I wanted to be a brewer. So we decided whoever got the first job at, you know, brewery or museum that's where we'd move to. And she got a job at the Peabody Essex Museum, so we ended up moving up here. I'm from Connecticut originally.
Oh, okay.
So we've been up here about 6 years.
Okay.
And she got the job at the museum. I was looking for a brewery gig up here. It took me a couple months to find one, but I started working the canning line at Newburyport Brewing.
All right, great.
Did that for a little under a year before I found an assistant brewer's job up in Wells, Maine, at Hidden Cove. Okay. And then, you know, I was making that commute from Salem, Mass up to Wells.
Oh, wow.
For several months. I just got tired. You know, I was getting tired of it. It's like an hour and 10 each way. But, you know, I was trying to get the experience to find a job where I wanted to be working. Mm-hmm. Then my friend who was working at Castle Island at the time told me about a brewery opening with Lynn. And I was able to get in contact with them. And I started working at Bentwater in March 2016. And they had just opened in November 2015. So, you know, 5 months after they just opened. Uh-huh. I came on as assistant brewer. And about 18 months ago, our original head brewer, you know, left the company, and I was just, you know, ready to jump in there and take over the role. So that's my little long jump to head brewer. But
that's a great story. And yeah, I know the commute usually kills you. Like especially from Salem going up there. Well, you're going against traffic, I guess, but still it's like an hour. If you were with traffic, it'd probably take you 2 hours each way, right?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the traffic. It was just, you know, I was into a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Yeah, that's why I started mine. I'm like, I was listening to beer podcasts. I'm like, I can do better than that. So I started my own. So that's how I got into it. But I did do the brewery. I had the brewery at a 7-barrel brewery in Portsmouth, and now I'm back in New York. What part of Connecticut were you from?
Just outside of Hartford, it's a town called Farmington.
Okay. All right. So
went to UConn, the normal Connecticut experience.
the UConn thing. Were you there when they were winning NCAA or?
I was there. I was there for 2006. I think was the last one.
Okay.
But
it seems very interesting. The whole craft beer scene is just blown up, and we were talking about the CBC. I'm excited that they're doing it online, the Craft Brewers Conference, and I was supposed to go there. You were supposed to go there too, and you're like, hey, I gotta cancel my hotel.
Yeah,
but I think
it's really unfortunate. I was super excited because we were planning to fly down a couple days early and spend a couple days in Austin. So we were going to fly into Austin, then drive to San Antonio.
Cool.
So we're going to make a little whole week trip out of it.
Austin, I hear, is an awesome place. Austin, I hear, is a great place. And San Antonio, I was looking forward to because it's like, oh, it's awesome. Did you ever go to San Antonio? I'm like, no, I wasn't. So what are you going to do? But they're going to do it online this year, which is great, over a period of 2 weeks, I think it is. So
yeah, it was something like that. I saw the email. Signed up for a couple seminars yesterday.
Yeah.
So
I got to look into. I offered them, if I could do anything for them. They always give me media passes to everything. So I'm like, tell me what you want me to do, and I'll help out. I was going to go there and just roam the floor, and just because I did that last year, I just roamed the floor and I just took sound bites of people, whatever products they're selling, and I put podcasts together and get the word out of what they're doing and what the craft beer industry is doing. And also I interviewed a bunch of the Brew Association people. Also the chief of the Bart Watson, I interviewed him, which is pretty cool. I had him in a room and we were talking about the industry and the projections and, you know, what do you see? Like you guys are making, I see some lagers and things that you're making. You're also making some IPAs as well. I mean, what do you see that's selling pretty well?
Yeah. I mean, obviously IPAs are the bulk of our sales. We have a whole range of them. We do hazy New Englands. We do regular, West Coast, Sluice Juices are hazy New England IPA. And then, we have Thunder Funks and West Coast inspired. And then, that's, probably 60 to 65% of our sales overall. The
IPAs. Yeah. Everybody's nuts about IPAs. I don't think it'll ever go away. You think it's just been that way. I think what's happening is people have these bland beers, they buy a suitcase of some bland mass-produced beer, and then they start to experiment with other beers, and then they find these hoppy beers, which are the IPAs, and you're like, oh my God, like what is this? And I think more and more people are coming on, and that's why it's sustaining this IPA. Like there's, there's over 100 different styles of beer, like the Great American Beer Festival, plus there's subcategories, right? Yep. That's what we do every Wednesday. I just pick a separate one and I do a podcast on that. I just explain the beer. I explain, examples of the beer, what glass to serve it in, because people don't know that there's just so many different types of beer out there.
Yeah, and I mean, as American breweries, we don't do the best job of showing all the different styles either. No.
You gotta generate revenue, and
exactly.
You gotta give the people what they want, and you can't make like a funky goza or something like that. If somebody doesn't, or some type of dark beer, people see dark and they get scared. They're like, oh my God, it's dark. Oh my God, I can't.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you really got to play to what people want to buy. And, it's unfortunate. Some of my favorite styles just aren't popular, but, there are people making it, so you can still go and buy some of it.
So what kind of styles do you like? Like what kind of beer do you like?
I'm a big German beer guy.
Oh, I love German
beer. I'm definitely on the lager train. We actually did start doing some lagers this year. We released an American adjunct lager. We call it Premium Lager.
Right, I see it on your website here. American barley, corn, German hops. Looks honey malt.
Yeah, so it's just a simple, clean drinking. If you like a Miller or a Bud, it's a pretty easy transition to get over to the Premium Lager for us. And that was the kind of idea.
I guess it's like a gateway beer, they say, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Get people transition from that into some really good beer.
Exactly. I mean, if you even look at I don't know if it's on our website, but the label itself has that like classic beer feel to it.
Right. It's a cool label. Yeah. It's not an overpowering label. Like all these labels on these freaking things. I don't know what I'm buying anymore. Like I see these labels on these cans. They're like, lightning bolts. Well, you have some lightning bolts, but they have like all kinds of like spacemen and stuff like that. It's like, what am I drinking? What is this beer? Like, and you can't find a description on it, Right. And if you look really hard, you could find the brewery, but it's like, what am I drinking here? And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm not going to buy it. But yours is pretty clear, right? Premium lager.
Yeah. Our premium lagers have been clear, and like we do have to try to keep our logo front and center on all of our labels. We definitely have a lot of geometric design throughout our labeling, and we do try to put at least a little blurb out there what what you're trying to drink or what you're supposed to be drinking, and the style on there just to keep it clear. Because I do find that frustrating too when you go and you're looking at it, you're like, I'm not sure what style of beer this is to even like begin trying to think about it.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. It's bizarre. But anyway, that's what people are attracted to, or they think they're attracted to, so they keep coming out with this thing. So do you use any local ingredients in your beer? Have you experimented with some local stuff?
So we, I don't know if you're familiar with Stone Path Malting out of Wareham, Mass.
I believe I heard of them, yeah.
We use a lot of their malt in our beers. They do a lot of importing as well as malting their own stuff. I'm trying to get us to do a little more with their locally malted stuff. Mm-hmm. But their import business is what's supporting their revenue stream right now.
Right.
So I'm trying to support them as much as I can with their small batch, locally malted stuff. But it's hard when we're trying to make a consistent commercial product. If they can't keep up demand for us, it's kind of. I try to support them as much as I can with that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's can they really supply what we need? I don't know. Maybe they'll get there at some point. They have a pretty big malt house down there, but it's just some concerns I have. Well, not my concerns. The ownership's concerns probably more poignant, but about supply. So, but I do try to support local whenever I can. And we've done some stuff with Blue Ox Malting out of Maine. And that's probably about it for local stuff. I mean, we've done some like locally foraged stuff. We've done like a sumac beer with Be Good, the food chain. They have a farm out in Boston Harbor that they foraged sumac berries and then grew dandelion root for us for a beer, which is pretty cool. But I think it's important to be supporting, especially malt houses. Because local malt houses do bring a unique and different flavor to the beers, and I'm trying to do my part with Stone Path.
Yeah, I mean, I did an interview with Maine Greens. I don't know if you heard of them, but
haven't.
They one of the interesting things that they said is that Maine was one of the premium or majority supplier of barley, like during the Civil War. I didn't even know this, right? And who would have thought? But what they're doing is they're resurrecting that, helping local farmers to make their own barley, and a lot of breweries like Allagash is using that stuff, and a lot of breweries are pulling it. So I think local stuff, and we're all about local. Like I love local. I was a local brewery, and I'd love to kind of resurrect it, but with this Corona stuff, I don't know what the heck's going on. It's really crazy, but. We love local, and we try to push people to local breweries and just make them aware of like breweries like yours. I mean, you have a large following, but just to have you on is great. But there's other breweries that are not really known a lot, and we would try to attract attention to them as well as local. I mean, a lot of people probably didn't even know grain was grown in like Massachusetts, right? Like local grain.
Well, yeah. So actually, the local malting grain they use is from Maine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess Maine's climate is better for barley than Massachusetts, is what their maltster told me.
Yeah, but they malt it in Massachusetts, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's grown in Maine, malted in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So and then I also feel like it's kind of like that idea. It's like I think of Maine as being local. Because I think kind of just the area of the country we're in, it's just kind of very small states. So I think, the idea of local's a little bigger around here than maybe some of the other parts of the country, but.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what do you think? I mean, getting back to this Corona thing, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I talk about a craft beer bubble, right? And people talk to me about a craft beer bubble because they see the rate of breweries opening up in the U.S. and it's kind of a steep curve, you know. But if you compare it to like wineries, you know, it's not really that bad because there's like over 10,000 wineries, I think, in the U.S. or maybe 12,000, and there's only like 8,000 breweries. So, you know, I think there's room for growth. But what do you think about the whole situation?
I mean, if you had asked me about a craft beer bubble before all this, I definitely would have agreed that there's definitely room for growth. I don't think we're anywhere near like the capacity of breweries, but you do see it because, you go to a liquor store and think about how many craft beers are on that, in that fridge shelf. And then usually there's a warm section just around the corner with all the other stuff. And it's just kind of, it's competitive out there and, everyone's fighting for shelf space.
Oh yeah. Tell me about it.
So it's like, and then it's, I think that with the current situation, my guess is that we're going to come out of the pandemic portion of this, and we're probably going to be in a recession of some sort. I think some of those smaller breweries, unfortunately, aren't going to be able to keep up, financially with just taproom sales. I mean, just this period of like slow taproom sales, maybe for some of them. But on top of that, then now you're coming out and then you're having trouble, accessing funds if you need to get loans in a recession. And then people just, having lost their jobs, who maybe don't have as much expendable income, it's going to be hard, I think. And I do think that, especially a lot of the newer breweries that maybe just opened up in the past 6 months are going to be really struggling coming out of this.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of loans out there. There's a lot of SBA loans and regular loans, and the banks are, they're probably freaking out because, and they're lending a lot of money out to breweries. And I keep seeing breweries opening up even before this, like they get these funds. I don't know where they get them from, but like it's not easy to open up like a 30-barrel brewery or a 60-barrel brewery. And people were opening up with grandiose plans. We're going to distribute in 5 states, just right out of the gate, I'm like, do you have any experience in that? No, but I have a home brew. It's awesome. And the bank gave me like $10 million, so I'm just doing it. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it's not like you plug the system in and then you can make beer and all of a sudden people flock to you or you get distributors on board. It's not like that. So, but people are doing it. And sometimes these guys build out these elaborate tap rooms and things, and they don't even get to open. They're like, all right, we decided we're just not going to open. And all that cash is just, and I've seen it over and over and over again. So I think the banks, especially now, are freaking out. And also the new people that come on, they need more capital. Mm-hmm.
I mean, brewing room is not cheap. That would be my biggest piece of advice to anybody thinking about opening a brewery. Yeah. Hire somebody with some production experience.
Who knows what they're doing, right? Yeah.
You can figure out the business side of it, but it's a different ball game than home brewing.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
Absolutely, I know that. It's crazy. It's just like, well, I've been 5 gallons and I went to like 7 barrels, but it was great in the beginning, and we had distributors and it was great, big. But then, like you said, the amount of breweries, New Hampshire was like it went from 20. I remember we had the Granite State Brew Association. We're all sitting around a table. It was like 20 of us. There's 20 breweries in the state. And then over 5 years, it grew to 100. So it's quintupled in 5 years. So the amount of competition and the shelving space in the stores went down, and also packaging that killed me. I mean, I went from 22-ounce bottles. I'm like, I can make money on this. This is awesome. Everybody wants cans. Nobody wanted my bottles anymore, and I'm like, this is not good. So I had to do a makeshift canning system. And we were doing well, but whatever we were producing, we just ran out of it like in a week, like it was gone. Stores just took it, and we couldn't keep up with demand. And that's where you need more capital to be invested. in order to grow your systems, and that takes, it takes capital, which if you don't have, it's not good. So I think you guys got your 30-barrel system, but you got some distribution in place, and you're surviving during these times, which is great.
Yeah, and we actually have a pretty decent cash reserve too, thankfully. And we do have a group of investors who support us very well. So
that's awesome. That's what you need. Investors. Yeah. Salem. I was looking to open something in Salem because it's just fantastic. They have cruise ships stopping there. I'm like, it's awesome. Like, it's a great place to open a brewery. And then I had some investors too, but then I don't know, they just got misinformed and then they backed out and the whole thing collapsed. But it would have been awesome. And I might do it one day. You never know. Hey, maybe there's I should go explore and see. As they say, there's opportunities, like people who wouldn't talk to you during normal times. And these times, a lot of people will talk to you because they're like, all right, I got to figure this out. So, you just gave me an idea. Thank you. Good. I got to write that down. Thank you. I got to write that down. But yeah, I mean, it's times are changing, and I'm hoping, and I'm looking. Bart Watson's going to come out with his yearly address. He's going to do it online, but I'm just curious about what he's going to say about this whole thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we've been looking at some sales data that's larger packaging formats are up. 18, 24 packs.
Mm-hmm.
Hard seltzer is a hot.
Are you doing hard seltzer too there or no?
We are not. We're thinking about it, but it takes a little time to figure that out. And then I think the lager was the next big kind of trend that we saw coming, so that's why we tried to jump in on that. And then it's going to be interesting to see kind of how this changes, consumer preference just based on, price point. Are people still be willing to pay, $20 for a 4-pack? And
that's great
this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, Bart had called that as well. Bart Watson called that as well. The lagers. He specifically said, this is going to be the hot item of the year, and it was. So I think he's dialed into what's going on, which is cool. And a lot of breweries jumped on that too, the lager, and now it's selling well, which is great. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, is there anything? Is there any final words that you can give to people who are not on the craft beer wagon yet, and we want to try to get them on board to support local and because you are a local brewery.
Yeah, I would say if you don't drink craft beer now, you might want to go. It's a good time to try it. We could all really use your business, and you'd be doing your part to help a local community business. All the local businesses need to work together in order to, have a local economy. And, when you keep your cash in your local economy, it's better for everyone around you.
Absolutely.
So that would kind of be my little plug. Help your local economy.
Absolutely. I keep telling people, the local breweries, sometimes they're delivering, or they can have the curbside pickup. It depends on the state. So it depends on where you live, but your local breweries are open, and you just can't go in there and congregate, but they can definitely sell you beer. So call your local brewery first before you go anywhere else, or go to that grocery store, and they can probably give you some nice fresh beer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're still making beer, and we're still packaging beer. So every beer, all the beer that's coming out for us is still fresh. So if you find Bentwater on a shelf, it's still going to be fresh.
That's
which
awesome.
I think is really awesome, because it's not sitting stale on the shelf. It's not old beer when you go to find it. We're still making beer.
What's interesting too is a lot of breweries are donating some old beer, and then distilleries are turning it into hand sanitizer, which is fantastic.
We've our chemical sales rep Noah Hershey from Alpha Chemicals contacted us about doing some labeling for some hand sanitizer. We were trying to figure out logistics for that, but I don't know if it's going to actually happen. But it's an interesting time when people are coming together to try to make the best of everything and help and support their neighbors. So it's a terrible time in the world, but I think it really goes to show people are still good and people still want to help each other.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. You got to help your fellow neighbor. Times like this just kind of refocus everybody. Everybody's at home just thinking about how their lives are and what can they do to make an impact on their neighbors and their society, and how can you help people?
Right.
So, and I always try to help breweries because I was in it, and I'm still in it. I'm in it. I'm thinking about. Well, I talked to a brewery in New York and in Brooklyn. And I have a recipe, so we were scheming on like maybe he would brew it, and then we would enter it into the GABF and see what happens. He's like, I'm down. Let's do it. It's like an Oreo infused Java porter. It's like out of control.
Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Maybe that's my strategy, and then we just enter it. But so cool. Hey, I appreciate your time today. Sure. You're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking the time. And tell your founders I wish them the best of luck. And I have to come up there and get some of that beer. I gotta make a tour. I've done a lot of these podcasts with distillers and brewers in the area. I gotta come up there again and just hang out, get a hotel room, and just do an Uber trip.
There you go.
But I appreciate your help. Hey, thanks very much, and good luck to you and your brewery.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, guys, that was Adam, Denny Golab. He's the head brewer at Bentwater in Lynn, Massachusetts. They have a nice size system, 30-barrel system. They got distribution. Seems like they're doing okay. They're, they're coping with all this. People can't go into the tap room. But apparently their model is based on distribution. They have a lot of distributors, in Massachusetts, and also they self-distribute, and also they're in New Hampshire now. So they're doing okay. And they're using some locally malted barley, which is fantastic. And I guess just got to go out and help these local breweries out, buy from them. They have curbside pickup, so get in touch with them. Bentwater Brewing, Lynn, Massachusetts. That's another brewery figuring it out during these times. I'm hoping that breweries can survive this. There's a lot of breweries that depend on the local tap room for a lot of their income, because that's where the margin is. I mean, they can make a lot of money selling out of their tap room to keep things going. It's a business, right? You got to keep things going. A lot of them are suffering right now. I hope my prayers are with them, and I hope they can make it through this. It's turmoil. The whole economy, global economy, just shut down. And what do you think about it? I don't know. If you want to come on my Crushing Your Fear podcast, if you got an opinion, Michael at crushingyourfear.com. I'm trying to do one a day, just some people's opinion on what they think about coronavirus and this, in this time and their views on it, and just maybe give something to help people out. So that's what we have for you today. If you haven't gone already, please go on iTunes. Give us a rating and review. That helps us get us up in rankings. That's all I ask of you. Ratings, reviews. Click on those 5 stars. Everything will be okay. Share this with somebody. Michael at craftbeerstorm.com. Get them involved in craft beer. Support your local breweries. It's more important now than ever, pretty much. So before you go and pick up that suitcase, go to your local brewery and see what they got. Get some cans to go, or grab a growler or some fresh beer. They're still making beer, which is cool. Get some fresh beer and open up into some new brewing creations, tastes that you haven't tasted before, and your eyes will be like, man, where have these breweries been? Like, why haven't I known about these things? They're making great stuff, so go and support them. All right, that's what I got for you today. Have a great day. We're going to talk to you on Wednesday with another beer style. Take care.